there is a culture at UVU, from what I've seen, of tolerance, but selective tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it feels like the conservative right doesn't receive the same sort of grace and benefit of the doubt that is extended towards the left. And that's why we see that they're able to organize and do much more than the conservatives are on campus. Conservatives aren't able to get permissions for the same things. They're not able to get the same support from administration that these really radical left-wing clubs are able to do.
Have you heard of the term centering around the marginalized?
Yes, I've heard that term before, but tell me more.
So centering around the marginalized, and I'm going to pull up a picture here. So just a second while I make sure that we can be seen in the picture. There's tiny, we'll do it a bit better, maybe. Okay, so this is a wheel of privilege and power. In the social justice kind of, otherwise for better word, woke ideology or progressive ideology, I think is a better way of putting it. It is just a simple given that this group, this way of thinking is correct. And this, what this does is it says that people in the center have the most power. And of course, that is the white, cisgender, Christian, heterosexual man who is gainfully employed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, because you are supposed to center around the marginalized, you can see in the top corner there, all of the marginalized are all of the other groups. And it is everything except for that white, cisgender, heterosexual, gainfully employed male.
Yeah.
And each group, let me make it a little bit bigger there. Hopefully this will work. Okay. So each group there is a certain level of intersectionality, a certain level of privilege and power. And so UVU seems to have just taken on that ideology. Just simply, we are right, and anybody who doesn't agree with us is wrong. I've had situations, I've been in their struggle sessions. I don't know if you know what a struggle session is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've been in their struggle sessions where they want you to take on, they don't necessarily want you to take on guilt. What they were trying to do in this particular one was to talk about how the Mormon experience and the Black experience can be intermingled with through intersectionality, that there was oppression, that Mormons were pushed out in a similar way to Blacks, that they were treated, as less desirable or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does. I mean, I would say that it's a Marxist mindset that seems to be going at UVU. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I definitely would. Now, this is where I would let my UVU colleagues speak more to this. But from
Okay.
the evidence I've seen, this is a widespread problem in academia, and it's a much bigger problem at UVU than it is, for instance, than at my school, at BYU.
Okay.
And the students are not just embracing it, but what we're seeing is a generation of students who have been taught this Marxist mindset from the very beginning of their education, and have decided to fully embrace it, and to the point where they are willing to act violently towards those who think differently, which is what I got to in an article I published just a few hours after our report came out from the Cougar Chronicle. I published some commentary on it where I pointed out that these students are an embodiment of years of training. I wouldn't quite say brainwashing, but some might say that.
Mm-hmm.
But years and years of being indoctrinated with this way of viewing the world has resulted in students that act like this, that almost acts like children.
Oh, infantilizing. Absolutely.
Yep.
So what do you feel that is the difference between brainwashing and indoctrination?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, there's a semantic component to that, but I would say that, we can't take away these students' accountability. They are still able to be held accountable for their actions, which is why I would say they're being taught, they're being misled, but ultimately they're still accountable. But at the same time, I think universities and parents should be held accountable as well for raising these students to the point where when they leave a university, and I point out in my piece that they're never going to enter a hall of learning again once they graduate, most often, right? And by the time they left, they don't have the mindset or the skills to be productive citizens. They've only been taught to hate those who disagree with them,
Right.
to militate against those that disagree with them, and to see those that disagree with them as subhuman or undeserving of being fellow citizens. And that's a huge problem. We can't have a stable society when we have students leaving their final place of education with the belief that most of the people that disagree with them can't be coexisted with.